In 1959, Howard Hawks breathed life into the iconic Western Rio Bravo, assembling a stellar cast of renowned actors. Today, we delve back into the enduring film and honor the extraordinary skills of its cast members. Regrettably, all the performers from Rio Bravo have departed, but their indelible performances remain etched in our memories. Join us as we reminisce about the cast then and now, celebrating these cinematic legends. Dean Martin as Dude. Martin earned praise for his portrayal of Dude in Rio Bravo. While Martin caught the eye of Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer and Columbia Pictures, he did not secure a Hollywood contract. Martin crossed paths with comedian Jerry Lewis at the Belmont Plaza Hotel in New York City in August 1944. As per Lewis, the duo first met in the lobby, where Martin approached him and remarked, "Hey, I caught your act. You're a funny kid." Martin's initial solo venture, 10,000 Bedrooms, 1957, failed to make an impact at the box office. Despite Volare reaching number 15 in the US and number 2 in the UK, the era of the pop vocalist was fading with the rise of rock and roll. Martin aspired to transition into a serious actor, renowned for more than just comedic films. Although offered a fraction of his previous salary to co-star in a war drama, The Young Lions, 1958, his role would be alongside Marlon Brando and Montgomery Clift. Martin briefly returned to the silver screen with roles in the star-studded, critically lambasted, yet commercially successful The Cannonball Run and its sequel, Cannonball Run 2. He also achieved modest success with the single Since I Met You Baby and ventured into music videos, which aired on MTV and were produced by Martin's youngest son, Richie. On March 21, 1987, Martin's son, actor Dean Paul Martin, previously known as Dino of the 1960s teeny bopper rock group Dino, Desi, and Billy, perished in a crash involving his F-4 Phantom II jet fighter while flying with the California Air National Guard. Martin, a lifelong avid smoker, received a diagnosis of lung cancer at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in September 1993. Although advised that surgery was necessary to extend his life, he declined. He withdrew from public life in early 1995 and succumbed to acute respiratory failure resulting from emphysema at his Beverly Hills residence on Christmas Day, 1995, at the age of 78. Ricky Nelson as Colorado Ryan. Howard Hawks selected Ricky Nelson for a role as a gunslinger in Rio Bravo, 1959, alongside John Wayne and Dean Martin. Hawks credited much of the movie's financial success to Nelson. Nelson played clarinet and drums during his adolescence, learned basic guitar chords, and mimicked his favorite Sun Records rockabilly artists vocally at home or in the showers at the Los Angeles Tennis Club. He was heavily influenced by Carl Perkins's music, and once mentioned that he aimed to replicate the sound and tone of the guitar solo in Perkins's March 1956 chart-topping hit, Blue Suede Shoes. In 1974, MCA was uncertain about how to manage the former teen sensation. Albums like Windfall failed to make an impact. Nelson became an attraction at amusement parks such as Knott's Berry Farm and Disneyland. He also began making minor appearances on television programs. Nelson attempted to achieve another hit, but struggled with songs like Rock and Roll Lady. With 7 years remaining on his contract, MCA terminated their agreement with him. In 1957, at the age of 17, Nelson fell in love with Marianne Gaba, who portrayed Ricky's girlfriend in 3 episodes of Ozzie and Harriet. Nelson and Gaba were too young to engage in a serious relationship, although according to Gaba, we used to kiss for hours. The following year, Nelson developed feelings for 15-year-old Lori Collins, a country singer featured on a weekly broadcast called Town Hall Party. The two collaborated on Nelson's inaugural composition, the track My Gal, and she introduced him to Johnny Cash and Tex Ritter. On December 31, 1985, Nelson perished in an accident when the Douglas DC-3 aircraft he was traveling in crashed into trees, poles, and electrical lines while attempting an emergency landing en route from Guntersville, Alabama, to Dallas, Texas, where he was scheduled to perform a New Year's Eve concert. The DC-3 frequently experienced mechanical issues. The fatal blaze was ignited by a malfunctioning heater in the plane's tail section, causing the cabin to fill with poisonous fumes. While both pilots survived, all 7 passengers lost their lives. Ward Bond as Pat Wheeler. Ward Bond portrayed Pat Wheeler in the movie. Bond commenced his film career in Salute and subsequently became a prolific character actor, appearing in over 200 supporting roles. He featured in 31 films released in 1935 and 23 in 1939. While seldom taking on leading roles in films, he headlined the television show Wagon Train from 1957 until his passing in 1960. Bond later starred in the popular program Wagon Train from 1957 until his demise. Wagon Train drew inspiration from the 1950 film Wagon Master, in which Bond also acted. The creation of Wagon Master was influenced by the earlier work The Big Trail. In Wagon Train, Bond assumed the pivotal role of Major Seth Adams, a gruff yet compassionate trail master. Bond advocated for Terry Wilson to be cast as assistant trail boss Bill Hawks and for Frank McGrath to play the cook, Charlie B. Wooster. Wilson and McGrath remained part of the series for its entire duration from 1957 to 1965, initially airing on NBC and later on ABC. Following Bond's passing in 1960, John McIntyre took over the role of Trailmaster in 1961. Bond wed Doris Sellers Childs in 1936, but they parted ways in 1944. In 1954, he exchanged vows with Mary Louise Myers, and they remained united until his passing in November 1960. Bond suffered a severe heart attack while staying at a hotel in Dallas with his wife. He was declared deceased at a hospital on November 5, 1960, at the age of 57. His dear friend John Wayne delivered the eulogy at his funeral. Bond's will left to Wayne the shotgun that Wayne had accidentally fired, striking Bond during a hunting expedition. Johnny Horton tragically perished in an accident on the same day as Ward Bond's passing. John Wayne as Sheriff John T. Chance. John Wayne portrayed Sheriff John T. Chance in the movie. As a gesture of gratitude to Mentor Jones, who had gifted silent Western movie star Tom Mix tickets to USC games, director John Ford and Mix employed Wayne as a prop assistant and background actor. Wayne attributed his mannerisms, speech, and overall persona to his association with Wyatt Earp, who maintained a close friendship with Tom Mix. Wayne quickly transitioned to minor roles, forming a lasting friendship with the filmmaker who provided most of those opportunities, John Ford. Wayne underwent 3 marriages and 2 divorces. His spouses included a woman of Spanish-American heritage, Josephine Alicia Sáenz, and 2 from Latin America, Esperanza Bauer and Pilar Palet. With Josephine, he fathered 4 children: Michael Wayne, 1934-2003, Mary Antonia Tony Wayne LaCava, 1936-2000, Patrick Wayne, born 1939, and Melinda Wayne Munoz, 1940-2022. With Pilar, he had 3 more children: Isa Wayne, born 1956, John Ethan Wayne, born 1962, and Marisa Wayne, born 1966. Despite his immense popularity at the box office, Wayne faced frequent criticism for portraying similar character archetypes throughout his extensive career. In a 1969 conversation with Roger Ebert, Wayne commented, "Certainly, they pigeonhole me with that John Wayne persona so frequently, alleging I consistently embody the same role. It seems that nobody recalls the distinctions between the characters in The Quiet Man, or Iwo Jima, or Yellow Ribbon, where I portrayed a 65-year-old at the age of 35. Although he participated in a cancer vaccine trial in an effort to combat the illness, Wayne ultimately succumbed to stomach cancer on June 11, 1979, at the UCLA Medical Center in Los Angeles, at the age of 72. He was interred at the Pacific View Memorial Park Cemetery in Corona del Mar, Newport Beach. As per his son Patrick and grandson Matthew Munoz, who served as a priest in the California Diocese of Orange, Wayne embraced Roman Catholicism shortly before his passing. Walter Brennan as Stumpy. Walter Brennan is perhaps most remembered for his roles in Western movies like Deputy Stumpy in Rio Bravo. He made an appearance as a musical judge in the 1953-1954 ABC series Jukebox Jury. Brennan later expressed a preference for television over movies due to the absence of extended breaks between projects. He continued to feature in films such as Gunpoint, A-Bus, 1955. Brennan was credited above Pat O'Brien in the TV film The Over the Hill Gang, 1969, and Fred Astaire in The Over the Hill Gang Rides Again, 1970. He joined the second season of the CBS sitcom To Rome with Love, 1969-1971, alongside John Forsythe. This marked Brennan's final television series as a regular cast member, although he did make several guest appearances on Alias Smith and Jones. During this period, he also starred in TV films like The Young Country, 1970, Two for the Money, 1972, and Home for the Holidays, 1972. He was announced for a Western film titled One Day in Eden, which was never produced. Brennan began filming Herbie Rides Again, 1973, for Disney, but became ill and was replaced. Brennan's final on-screen appearance was in the Western Smoke in the Wind, 1975, helmed by Joseph Kane. In 1920, Brennan wed Ruth Caroline Wells. They had 3 offspring over their 54-year marriage: Arthur, Walter, and Ruth. In 1940, Brennan acquired the 12,000-acre Lightning Creek Ranch, situated 20 miles north of Joseph, Oregon. He erected the Indian Lodge Motel, a cinema, and a general store in Joseph, and continued to retreat to the ranch between film projects until his demise. Several members of his family still reside in the vicinity. Brennan spent his latter years primarily in retirement at his ranch in Moore Park in Ventura County, California. He passed away from emphysema on September 21, 1974, at the age of 80 in Oxnard, California. His remains were laid to rest at San Fernando Mission Cemetery in Los Angeles. Pedro González González as Carlos Robante. Pedro González González portrayed Carlos Robante in the movie. His father worked as a trumpet player, while his mother pursued a career in dance. His sibling was the actor José González González, 1922 to 2000. At the age of 7, he dropped out of school to join a family act named Las Perlitas, which toured across southwest Texas. Consequently, he remained functionally illiterate throughout his life, relying on others to read to him. González González tied the knot at 17 and served in the Army during World War II as a driver in the United States. Post-war, he ventured into stand-up comedy for Spanish-speaking audiences. In 1953, he made an appearance on the Groucho Marx NBC television quiz show You Bet Your Life under the alias Ramiro G. Gonzalez, where his interaction with Marx drew attention. Marx queried him, "What does the G stand for?" To which he replied, "Gonzalez," elucidating that both his parents shared the surname Gonzalez prior to marriage. González González assumed various additional roles alongside Mel Blanc in several Speedy González cartoons, such as A Taste of Catnip and Go-Go Amigo, typically credited as González González. Due to his portrayal of comedic relief characters, he faced allegations of perpetuating negative stereotypes about Hispanic males. Nonetheless, Edward James Olmos remarked on González González's influence on Latino actors upon his passing, stating that he served as an inspiration to every Latino actor. He passed away from natural causes at his residence, leaving behind his wife Leandra and 3 offspring. He is also the grandfather of actor Clifton Collins Jr. John Russell as Nathan Burdett. John Russell portrayed the character of Nathan Burdett, a wealthy and corrupt cattle rancher. Russell entered into a contract with 20th Century Fox in 1945, marking his debut appearance as a guard in a royal scandal. He took on various supporting roles during his tenure at Fox, depicting a junior law partner in the Clifton Webb comedy Sitting Pretty, 1948, and a naval pilot in Slattery's Hurricane, 1949. Often, he assumed secondary roles, frequently in Western films, such as William A. Wellman's Yellow Sky in 1948. Later, he inked a deal with Republic Pictures, securing a lead role alongside Judy Canova in Oklahoma Annie, 1952. Throughout the remainder of his film career, he took on supporting roles in over 20 movies, including multiple A.C. Lyle's westerns and 3 films directed by his close friend Clint Eastwood, notably portraying Marshall Stockburn, the primary antagonist in Eastwood's Pale Rider in 1985. Russell also featured in the second season of the Filmation children's science fiction series Jason of Star Command, playing Commander Stone, a humanoid alien from the Alpha Centauri star system. He replaced James Doohan, who had previously portrayed the character in the first season but left to work on Star Trek: The Motion Picture, 1979. Russell passed away from complications related to emphysema in 1991. He tied the knot with Renata Titus in 1943. Claude Akins as Joe Burdett. Claude Akins took on the role of inmate Joe Burdett in Rio Bravo. He had a minor role alongside John Wayne in The Sea Chase. Akins appeared alongside Yul Brynner and Robert Fuller in the movie The Magnificent Seven 2, 1966, also known as Return of the Seven or Return of the Magnificent Seven, and was also featured in the film Seasons of the Heart, 1993. Akins portrayed a rodeo clown convicted of armed robbery in Killer on Horseback, an installment of the NBC anthology series Star Stage, which served as the pilot episode for the syndicated police drama State Trooper, starring Rod Cameron. This episode was later aired on the regular series as Rodeo Roughhouse. Akins also made an appearance in the 1963 episode The Chooser of the Slain on the ABC Warner Brothers Western series, The Dakotas. Akins passed away from stomach cancer in Pasadena, California on January 27, 1994, at the age of 67. In the late 1980s, Akins found employment lending his voice to the occupational safety educational video series, Safety Shorts, where he advocated for workplace safety to numerous industrial workers, providing guidance on lockout-tagout procedures, personal protective equipment, and the MSDS documentation process. Akins collaborated on a golf instructional video with Ron Masak, titled Tom Kite and Friends. Additionally, Akins made a later appearance on the television series In the Heat of the Night, starring Carol O'Connor. Estelita Rodriguez as Consuelo Robante. Estelita Rodriguez portrayed Consuelo Robante in the movie. Rodriguez's journey in the entertainment industry commenced in 1942 when she secured a contract with Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer at the age of 14. She continued her education at the MGM school in preparation for her film debut. However, MGM unexpectedly dropped her, prompting Rodriguez to return to New York until 1945, when she inked a 5-picture agreement with Republic Pictures. That same year, the studio cast her in her inaugural film, Mexicana, alongside Tito Guizar, Constance Moore, and Leo Carrillo. While this acting opportunity marked a positive turn in her career, Rodriguez expressed dissatisfaction with the filmmaking process, reportedly lamenting, "Everyone treats me like a child. I am a mother." During the early stages of her career, Rodriguez married Mexican vocalist Chuchu Martinez. The exact date of their union remains unknown. They welcomed a daughter named Nina in 1946 before divorcing in 1947. In January 1953, Rodriguez tied the knot with actor Grant Withers, but their marriage ended in 1955. She then married Ismael Alfonso Haufs in 1956, divorcing in 1960. Her fourth and final marriage was to Dr. Ricardo A. Pego in 1961, a union that endured until her passing. On March 12, 1966, Estelita Pego was discovered deceased on the kitchen floor of her residence near North Hollywood, Van Nuys, California, at the age of 37. No autopsy was conducted, and the cause of her death remains undisclosed. Alternative accounts suggest her demise was linked to complications arising from influenza. Angie Dickinson as Feathers. Dickinson's breakthrough in cinema came with her role in Howard Hawks' RIO Bravo, where she portrayed a charming gambler named Feathers, who found herself drawn to the town sheriff, played by Dickinson's childhood idol, John Wayne. She secured second place in a local preliminary round for the Miss America competition, catching the eye of a talent scout who secured her a position as one of 6 showgirls on the Jimmy Durante show. This exposure brought her to the notice of a television producer who encouraged her to explore acting. After studying the craft, NBC approached her to make guest appearances on various variety shows, including the Colgate Comedy Hour. It was during this time that she crossed paths with Frank Sinatra, forging a lifelong friendship. Dickinson was wedded to Jean Dickinson, a former college football athlete who later delved into the electronics industry from 1952 to 1960, although they separated in 1956. Throughout her initial marriage, Dickinson formed close bonds with John Kenneth Galbraith and Catherine Galbraith. Her frequent visits to them, and her travels during Galbraith's tenure as U.S. ambassador to India, are extensively chronicled in his memoirs Ambassador's Journal and A Life in Our Times. Following her first divorce, Dickinson retained her married name. She exchanged vows with Burt Bacharach in 1965. Their union lasted for 16 years, although toward the end, they experienced a period of estrangement during which they dated other individuals. Bacharach and Dickinson had a daughter named Nikki who battled autism. Tragically, Nikki took her own life on January 4, 2007. Bacharach Sr. passed away in 2023.